for whoever it was who said they lived in Germany, or have any of you noticed that when you've traveled overseas that it's more available? So in Germany, when I was there, I was working for the army, but I was civilian, so I had to go to the regular doctor. And I went to the doctor and I said, okay, I need my antibiotics because I've been on antibiotics several times a year for years. I'm getting sick. I had pneumonia issues, bronchitis, like reoccurring all the time. And they said, we don't give antibiotics just for a cold. And I said, you don't understand. I have to have it. And instead, they sent me home with homeopathy. And I was really upset, to be honest, because I'm like, I'm not a German. I can't take off 3 weeks of work. I'm working full time. I'm doing my master's. I'm traveling. I need antibiotics to keep going. They're like, no. And so they gave me the homeopathy. And you know what? It worked. But I don't know what they gave me. I still don't remember. So, like I said, it's very common in Europe. It is practiced out of 40 out of 42 European countries, where 3 out of 4 people are familiar with homeopathy, and 29% use it for their primary health care. 57% of people in Germany use homeopathic medicines, and it's mandated in the medical schools that they teach it, which is huge. And approximately 10% of all physicians in Germany specialize in homeopathy, and 38% prescribe homeopathic remedies. And I don't know if that doctor only used homeopathy. That's all he gave me, because he said I wasn't to the point of antibiotics. In France, and that's where boron, the blue tubes come from, the purple tubes. 95% of the general practitioners use homeopathy in their practices. And 100 million people depend solely on homeopathy for medical care. And India, it's also very big. So any of the former British Isle type countries, 200,000 registered homeopathic doctors are in India. So they're full doctors, but then they're also trained in homeopathy. So I did want to show you, there's a book that I teach in my classes, but you can get it off of Amazon. It's called the Banerjee Protocols, and these are done by homeopathic doctors in India, fourth generation. They have a huge research clinic, and each doctor sees about 100 patients a day. They see 200 to 300 cancer patients per week. And people come to them from all over the world. They were featured in the Truth About Cancer series, if you've ever watched that. They treat serious issues, and they have had like a road named after them, a stamp. They've treated everybody from the poorest of the poor to the president of India, and they have been very revered. So this is what I teach. To start with, it has very easy protocols in here. The first chapter is all on cancer, and then the other one is the other chapters are on basic issues that you can just look up. So it's a good starter for people who are unfamiliar with homeopathy, as well as understanding the basics of it. So it's available in a lot of South American countries. There's so many people I've run into from other, especially South American or Central American countries, and they've told me homeopathy saved my life. They were either in the hospital, something happened, and they had a family member or somebody who helped them get homeopathy and save their life. So many famous people have used homeopathy. Mother Teresa, they actually in India, they would set up like a table outdoor clinic and treat people, and also in their orphanages, with homeopathy, because it's so inexpensive and it works all the way to royalty. So the British royal family, from Queen Victoria through King Charles, he's a very big advocate of homeopathy, have always had a homeopathic physician. So I always say, if it's good enough for royalty, it's good enough for me. So when the Queen Elizabeth used to travel, she would always travel with her homeopathic physician and a kit, because they would go on their, I believe it was a royal yacht, and travel around the world, and they couldn't get to easy medical care. So, and as you know, they live quite a while. They can have access to any kind of care, and they still choose to use homeopathy. And King Charles, if you look it up, he has actually been a huge advocate in protecting homeopathy in the UK. Of course, Mark Twain, Tina Turner. It was talked about. Louisa May Alcott was actually a trained nurse, so she actually mentions homeopathy in some of her books. Okay, so I'm just going to show you. So this is my family. We just recently returned from Maui. My husband's almost 60 and I'm 50. So you can see we're still healthy. We're not on any medications. And that's because I truly believe nutrition and supplements and homeopathy are huge for keeping us going. For me, I had severe hay fever from the time I was a kid, severe allergies to the point where I was sick all the time. I had pneumonia from the time I was little. And so, what I learned is in that kit that was sitting on my mom's counter, there was a remedy called Calcarea carbonica, which was made from um, oyster shell, something very simple, right? And that was sitting on my mom's countertop all those years, but I never knew how to use it properly because I wasn't trained. I had the remedies, but I didn't have the education or training. We had one little book, no internet. We were in a very rural part of New Mexico in the mountains, and there weren't many people to ask except for the lady who talked us into getting it, my sister's violin teacher. And she had a ranch, very busy. She treated all her animals with it. But later on, when I jumped back into homeopathy and started learning about it, I took this every other day only for 9 weeks. 9 weeks. It wasn't every day. And I had spent so much money. You guys, I used to go to Walgreens or any of those places and stock up on my allergy medicine, Zantac, Sudafed, all the stuff, right?